Hey, what's up? In this video, I'm going to demystify some big misconceptions and dangerous confusions around Bitcoin, currencies, and cryptocurrencies in general. So, what is it that you buy when you buy a Bitcoin? Well, Bitcoin is a currency in a sense, or is it something more like gold? Well, here, that's where we're really going down the rabbit hole. And really, you don't really want to ask exactly what money is in your wallet or what that money in your savings account is, because the truth is that it doesn't really have much value. Bitcoin in itself, if you look at it as a financial asset, was the world's best performing currency already back in 2016. It went up 120%. 2017 so far has been even better. Ditto for 2015, even though at the time it went up only, quote unquote, 40%, which still makes it an outlier in the currency and frankly in the stock markets too. Now, of course, Bitcoin has always been highly volatile. And granted, at the beginning, a lot of that volatility was due to speculation and the novelty factor. There were a lot of people that were experimenting and learning about this whole idea of cryptocurrencies, and low trading volumes contributed to very high volatility. Now, in all fairness, that period is largely over now. What we have seen in the last 12 to 18 months with Bitcoin is that it's becoming a real part, albeit a small part, but a real part of the global financial system. It has become a way for people to start moving capital outside of the traditional fiat currencies, the traditional currencies, and into something that they perceive to be far superior, far easier to do, with a lot more privacy and a lot less transaction costs. Now, if we talk about Bitcoin, which is arguably the number one cryptocurrency, then automatically we have to talk about fiat currencies, in the sense that cryptocurrencies are the yin to the yang, i.e. fiat currencies. So we have to understand what exactly is a fiat currency. Well, traditionally, a fiat currency is a currency that is unbacked by gold or by any other hard asset. The value of that fiat currency is the fiat decree alone. Okay, so simply the issuing government simply decides that the currency is worth X. And if that sounds familiar, it's simply because all currencies in the modern financial system are fiat. Once upon a time, back in the days, you could indeed swap a pound or a dollar for a fixed amount of gold and sometimes silver. Those currencies were tethered, were fixed to hard assets. Now, that is not the case any longer. That's why it's called a fiat currency, okay? Because there's an element of trust. And in a sense, the modern currencies, the fiat currencies, are tethered to a promise from the government. And we all know what those are worth. You may think, okay, well, this doesn't affect my life too much. Well, that's because the whole economies are built on fiat currencies. Now, the key thing, and this is where it really impacts you, and it's been having a big negative impact in the last 10-15 years minimum, without even going too back in history when we had double-digit inflation. How does this impact you? Well, the government and the central bank can arbitrarily, and they do it on a regular basis, decide to massively increase the money supply. How do they do that? Well, they decide to print a lot many more dollars, pounds, euros, and so on and so forth, without having to worry what they're backed with. Okay, because these fiat currencies are not backed by any hard asset, it's literally paper that they can print. So practically, it frees the state to do as it pleases without any real monetary discipline. It's just printing paper that in turn people then attribute a very high value to. And in extreme cases, this leads to people losing faith in the currency. And if that happens, that's when we get what is called hyperinflation, periods of very, very high inflation. And therefore, the value of the money that you hold in your bank account, in your wallet, is destroyed very quickly. And that's why gold has traditionally been a way of protecting yourself against it, because it's a hard asset, there is a limited supply of it in the world, and governments cannot arbitrarily create gold. That's how gold moves your capital out of the whole fiat currency system, the fiat money system, into a real hard asset. So how about Bitcoin? Well, Bitcoin isn't backed by anything. So in that respect, Bitcoin as a currency is not tethered to a hard asset. You cannot really link Bitcoin to an ounce of gold or silver at a fixed price. However, it does have two major advantages, and this is where the whole innovation of cryptocurrency comes into play. Number one, it's not issued by any government or central bank. And number two, there is a fixed ceiling on how many Bitcoins can be issued. 21 million. Therefore, you have the benefit of A, not having to worry about whether the government or the central bank decide to print more money because they've run into more debt. And number two, you also have the certainty that that hard cap, there's no way of getting around it. So not only you're not tethered to a government or a central bank, but you also know that there is a hard cap, just like in a sense, there is a hard cap to the amount of gold that's available in the world. That is the appeal of Bitcoin. There are also some disadvantages to Bitcoin. And mainly here is that if someone was to hack the algorithm behind Bitcoin, that could have the same effect of a central bank printing money. It would lead to a loss of faith in the value of the Bitcoin. And now that's kind of the parallel. So central bankers are to fiat currencies what hackers are to cryptocurrencies. In a sense, Bitcoin shares some of the characteristics of a fiat currency and some of the characteristics of gold. And in the recent years, we have seen the gold-like qualities of Bitcoin being dominant, right? So the fact that they are not influenced by central bank policy, that there's a limited amount of them, etc. So people have been taking money out of traditional fiat currencies. They have been taking their money out of that system and putting them into Bitcoin in the same way that they would be taking money out of the system and putting it into gold. If you want to know more, make sure to click on the links below or to the side of this video for more information on how you can profit from Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, and also how you can protect your existing wealth using the very exciting and very profitable world of cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin.